I'm Steve Isaacs. This is part of the Beef Business Foundation video for new beef producers, funded by the Ag Development Fund through the Kentucky Beef Network. I recorded one video prior to this about why you'd be in the beef business. You know, why do you have beef cattle? Why do you put up with these things? These things that seem to know every time you're going to go to town, they seem to have a way to get out. So we answered the why in that question. The why is important, or I suggested that you answer the why. The why is the mission of your business. It's why you do what you do. And when people ask that question, there should be an answer to it, and that's your mission statement. It's based on your core values and what you would like for the business to be. I introduced a planning pyramid in that, where the foundation was mission, the second part of that pyramid was goals, and the top part of that was tactics. So the mission was the why, the goals are the what, and the tactics are the how. And most of the other things that we would try to teach you in Extension have to do with the how. We've talked about the why, and I want to talk today about goals, or the what we want to achieve. So to me, planning is just this whole process of working with missions and goals and tactics to achieve the things that you'd like to do in your business. So goal setting will be the focus of this particular video. I'd like to get into this. It's something that for the past 30 years, that I have taught to my students. I have an ag management class that I teach at UK. And every one of those 30 years, one of the first assignments that I've given my students has been that they have to write a mission statement, in other words, the why, a personal mission statement, and a set of goals. And most of the students take that pretty seriously. It's an ungraded assignment. They get points for that exercise, but most of them take it seriously, and I think do a good job with it. They think about why they're doing what they're doing and what they want to do in the future, and they put down some short and intermediate and long run goals. In fact, many times when I meet former students, the thing that they're most likely to remember from my class is that they had set SMART goals, and many of them continue to do so. So SMART is an acronym that we're going to work with here, and SMART doesn't just mean intelligent, although it could be a good intelligent common sense goal, but SMART is an acronym. It stands for specific, motivating, attainable, relevant, and timed. So let's get into it. Specific means just what it says. I mean, it's what distinguishes between an objective and a goal. For students, I say that good grades is an objective. Making a 3.5 grade point average this semester is a goal. Paying down debt in your business is an objective. Paying down an extra $35,000 on the mortgage this year is a specific goal. Weaning heavier calves is a good objective, but having a target of weaning 600-pound calves is a goal. So objectives are general statements. Goals should be specific. So specific. The M stands for motivating. I used to say it was measurable. I think motivating is a better word. And one of the purposes of a goal, I think, is that it encourages action. Now, it can be an external motivator, but if it's internalized, if it's something you really, really want to do, then I think you've internalized that and are much more likely to have a good motivational outlook about that. External goals do work, but they tend to not be long-term. One of the external goals that I've used is pay. Sometimes we're motivated by pay. However, there's research that suggests that the motivational value of a pay raise lasts 1.5 pay periods. Herzberg, back in the 60s, wrote about this, and he said that the primary motivational value of pay raise is the anticipation of the next one. So goals should be specific, they should be motivating, and then they should be attainable. Now, a goal should be a stretch, but it shouldn't be out of reach. The benefits of goal setting are seriously diminished if you're constantly frustrated by not being able to reach a goal. So they should be challenging, should be a push, shouldn't just be a foregone conclusion, something you're obviously going to reach, and you're not going to reach them all. But don't let that be discouraging or prevent you from setting new goals in the future. I mean, learn from that and go on. So, specific, motivating, attainable. The R is for relevant. Now, almost as soon as you set a goal and start setting the second goal, you're going to run into one of the problems of goal setting, and that is that goals often conflict. Sometimes our production goals and our leisure goals or our work goals or our family goals or our financial goals, they get in the way of each other. you can have some goal conflicts that you have to resolve. You have to determine what the top priority goals are. So just be aware that as soon as you set multiple goals, you're probably going to have some goal conflicts, but a good set of SMART goals that are relevant to the mission are going to help you reach that mission and answer the why for your business. So specific, motivating, attainable, relevant, and the final letter is timed. Now, there's nothing like a deadline to stimulate action. And setting a date to accomplish something is a surefire way to get moving toward that goal. In one of the extension workshops with farmers I did many years ago, farmers sat down, had a written goal to finish a remodeling job on the patio by May 15th. And I said, well, what's so magical about May 15th? He said, well, that's the daughter's wedding date. So yes, sometimes goals can really, a timeline can motivate us to get out there and move something. Specific, motivating, attainable, relevant, and timed. One of the most special moments of my extension career has been in a 2-day workshop that we were doing here in Kentucky. At the end of the first day, we made an assignment to the participants in that workshop that they were to go home that night, and they'd been through a session much like this, talking about SMART goals, and they were to go home and write down a set of SMART goals. Next day, a lady came back in, she and her husband. She handed me the sheet that they had written their goals on. And she said, my husband and I farmed together for 38 years. And last night was the first time we'd ever talked about things like this. So please don't let it be 38 years. These are the kind of things that you should do. You should do it now, and you should keep doing it. I'm convinced SMART goals are one of the biggest things you can do to improve the overall management of your operation. It don't have to be big, audacious, long-run goals. You can have daily, weekly, monthly, seasonal goals, and of course the long run. But one thing I want to do and have you do is to write them down. I have a former student, a colleague that I work with, who says that an unwritten goal is just a wish. It's not a goal, and it's certainly not a SMART goal. Now, with all of this, I just discovered this a few years ago. I think goal setting is important. That's why I've taught it for 30 years. But I've found that it's also good for us. I know absolutely nothing about neuroscience except for a few things that I read, and I got to reading some things, and that goal-directed activities, neuroscience tells us that those activities that require the use of the prefrontal cortex, the thinking, planning, organizing, evaluating part of our brain. And researchers have determined that setting goals, just the process of setting goals, increases the dopamine levels in our brains. And dopamine is the part of the thing that's produced that allows us to feel pleasure and satisfaction. It's what makes you feel good when you achieve something, like setting and reaching goals. Now, I'm going to wrap this up with a personal story. And it's about goal setting. And I have, for my entire life, been a person who set goals. When I was in school, it was grades and those sorts of things. Farming full-time, I had all sorts of production and planting date and yield goals and average daily gains and just all sorts of things. Anything that I could measure or get specific, I had goals about. Well, I had one goal. It was a personal goal. I set it the spring that I graduated from college. It took me 27 years to reach that goal. I guess it was not a SMART goal. It didn't have a time with it. So it was specific, it was motivating, it was attainable and relevant, but it didn't have time to it. 27 years to reach that goal. And that goal was kind of silly, but the goal was to sometime in my working career take the entire month of October off. I didn't want to go to work. October to me is just my favorite time of the year. Leaves are turning, the sky is blue, the weather's great. I love it. I thought I'd love to not have to do anything but just enjoy the month of October. Well, farming full-time, graduate school, teaching, there was no way we were going to be able to do that. In the fall of 2003, my teaching responsibility shifted around a bit, and I had enough leave accumulated that I never came to the office in October of 2003. And in fact, one of the things that we did was my wife and my son and I followed William Clark and Meriwether Lewis up the Missouri River. They'd been given a goal by President Thomas Jefferson, and that was to find the source of the Missouri River, go across the Continental Divide, and find if they could get a land and water route from the east coast of the U.S. to the Pacific. So we found the source of the Missouri River in October of 2003. That trip, that journey happened because I set a goal to do that. It never would have happened without a goal. And it took a long time, but I reached it, and it's one of the most memorable elements of my life. Now, hopefully you answered the why for your business, the mission, why you exist. Now, you determine what you want to do and set SMART goals to do that. And all the tactics, whether it's production or finance or marketing, all the other things that we'll try to teach you in a video series like this should be directed toward reaching those SMART goals and fulfilling that mission. I think specific, motivating, attainable, relevant, and timed goals will help you fulfill your mission and answer that why. I'm Steve Isaacs. I want to thank you for listening, and I wish you good luck and met goals. Thank you very much.